All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sport Knowledge podcast. Now, this past weekend saw the city of Seattle host NCAA tournament games for the first time in a decade. And it was also the first time for the NCAA tournament to be played at Climate Pledge Arena, albeit that these are neutral site games that we're talking about, but there was a buzz, basketball buzz this past weekend in the Emerald City. And with that buzz, to me, I feel, and I'm not the only one who says this because people have said this before, I've said it before. I'm just taking this time to reiterate it. And that is that the great city of Seattle is once again ready to have an NBA franchise. It's been 17 years and counting since the Sonics left Seattle to become the Oklahoma City Thunder. Don't get me wrong. I get the politics of it. I don't agree with it. All right. But nonetheless, I have always been perplexed at the fact that the NBA left a market as big as the one in Seattle for Oklahoma City. And that's not a slight to the folks there, it's just the nature of it. Okay. But to have Seattle not have an NBA franchise for this long, in my book, is almost as shocking as it taking the National Football League more than 2 decades to return to Los Angeles. We've seen the NBA put a franchise back in Charlotte, but still no Sonics. Seattle is ready, and I am sure that the folks there are chomping at the bit as they should. I mean, you think about it. The new Climate Pledge Arena has seen the city of Seattle host some preseason NBA games while also being home to the Seattle Kraken of the NHL. And of course, like I said, the NCAA tournament this past weekend. And for basketball, um, the Climate Pledge can seat more than 18,000 people. And I guarantee you, the folks will come out and support their Sonics. I mean, basketball fans, I feel they're ready. And it is time, NBA, for the rebirth of the Sonics. Long overdue, okay? There's too much basketball history in the Pacific Northwest to keep dormant. You just think about some of the great names in Sonics basketball history, the likes of Gus Williams, the late great Slick Watts, who recently passed away, the X-Man, Xavier McDaniel, Tom Chambers was a multiple-time All-Star there, Nate McMillan, the Rain Man, Sean Kemp, Detlef Shrimp, who was also part of those good Sonic teams in the 90s, and of course, the glove, the one and only Gary Payton. And this is just to name a few. I feel bad for the folks in Seattle because they don't have an NBA franchise currently, and they really got teased on Kevin Durant. They saw KD play there his first year before the team moved to Oklahoma City, and you just have to wonder, okay, sake of argument, I'm throwing it out there right now. Let's say you had a James Harden there. Let's say you had a Russell Westbrook. Let's say you had a Kevin Durant together. Maybe that trio sticks together and maybe they accomplish more than what they did. Remember, the Thunder did get to the NBA Finals back in 2012. Just a wonder. And it's just one of those other things. It's like just throwing it out there. Maybe KD spends the bulk, if not all, of his basketball career in Seattle. And maybe at this point, he's as legendary in that town as the likes of Ken Griffey Jr., Gary Payton, or Sean Kemp, or Steve Largent, or other great Seattle sports figures. Just throwing it out there, okay? But nonetheless, it's time for NBA expansion, and it's time for basketball to return to Seattle. Screw all of this. The NBA needs to go overseas, yada, yada, yada. No. If you're going to do it right. Okay. I know there's rumors about a team in Vegas. You've got to go back to Seattle if you're the NBA. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You think about some of those great rivalries that the Supersonics had when they played that Pacific Northwest rivalry with the Portland Trailblazers. You think about the rivalry with the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers and Sonics was always a big game on the West Coast for the NBA. Of course, okay. And then you think about some of those playoff battles over the years that the Sonics and Houston Rockets franchise had as well. For me, will we see the NBA return to Seattle before the end of the decade? I mean, the clock is ticking, and I doubt it because there's not enough behind it to make it happen sooner rather than later. But again, it is long overdue. I get the politics of it. I hate the politics of it at the same time, but I understand it. But nonetheless, it's time for Seattle to get an NBA franchise again. Okay, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know. Don't get me wrong. Some of the folks that we saw in the arena this past weekend were supporting the teams that were there that were playing. Totally understand it. Okay, but nonetheless, Seattle is a good sports city. They love their Mariners. They love their Seahawks. Okay, and they have embraced the Seattle Kraken in a very short time. It's going on 2 decades, folks. It's too long to not have the Supersonics back in the National Basketball Association. Hopefully, we can cut through the red tape, the politics, and all the other garbage. But nonetheless, it is time for the Sonics to return to the NBA. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365, and you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.